in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do the arms and the leg. And I think you'll find this really interesting, particularly when we get down to a hand and the fingers. And all portrait work is a challenge, but this is an easier demonstration to understand because, first of all, we're not using so many pencils, and secondly, it's quite simple lines. I haven't made it too complicated. Now, what I'm doing now is putting white. Now, the white has to go all over here, so I'll just do a little bit more of the arm. Now, we don't need it to be solid white, but we need quite a good covering. So I'm just filling in. The tooth of the paper will disappear as we go on, as you can see. If you look at the face there, you can't see the tooth, and that's because we're using a base colours and blending them in. So now that's what I'm going to be doing to the leg, which is here, and the hand and the fingers and the arm. Now, what I'll do is I'll work through and show you all of it, but in little stages, and I won't be narrating it because it's self-explanatory. So let me get on with that. I'm just putting the white on. I won't be putting any more colours on. That's nearly all the white put in. I just come in at this last minute to show you how we finish this. Down here, this is going to melt into the background. It's going to be a really attractive background on this, but the subject is going to melt in to it. You can see I've already done the arm, and now it will be the leg. And you'll be amazed at how that actually works once we put the background on. I'm doing more demonstrations on this. I'm doing the face, the hair, and the dress. And then I will also be showing how to do a background. So watch out for those. But at the moment, we're concentrating on the arms and legs. And the next colour I'm going to use will be the pink. Now, with the pink, I don't want to make this too strong. So we put a little bit of pink in just to put colouring in, and you'll see I'll just do this arm and you'll get the idea of it. The idea is that it will mix with the other colours, the ochre and the reddy ochre that we're going to use, and will give a really nice tone. At the moment it looks too salmony, doesn't it? But of course you can see from the face and the other areas of skin I've done that it will turn into a really attractive skin tone. Anyway, let me get on with that. I'm going to do all this. I won't show you this in parts. I'll just finish it off. But you can see how it's working there. And then when I come back, we'll be putting the other colours on, the ochres on. Now, that's all the pink in. And now what I'm going to do now is to blend it. If you've got a coloured shaper, like I'm using, or a paper blender, or any kind of blending tool, it's a good idea just to blend this in. The reason I'm saying that is because you can just see traces of the pastel paper showing through here. And what I want to do is to use this colour as a base. And by blending it like this, you tend to get a really attractive base tone And then we can put the other colours in. The reason I say that is the other colours are stronger. And if they touch the raw paper, it could result in it being too harsh. Anyway, now I've done one and I'll do the others. If you haven't got a blender of any kind, what you could do is just go back over with the white pencil very lightly and mix the two together. It doesn't produce quite the same result, but it will work. And just to show you that, the difference between the two. So it really worth blending if you can. Anyway, let me do that, and then we'll come back and we'll put the ochre. The next colour we'll be using will be that one, which is 187 in the faber-castell range. I'm now using that ochre that I showed you, and what's going to be interesting in this little section is how I get to that. You see the difference between this and this? Well, watch this. Very light. You don't need to put pressure on here at all. Just very light. And because I want a contrast between here and here, this is very light touch. And we'll be putting some white back on in a little while. But it needs to go all over very lightly. Like that. Now you hardly see anything on there. But surprising enough, it's quite a strong tone when we blend it. A little stronger on the elbow here, because I want it to look round. And by graduating, like I'm doing, it will work that way. There we are. Now that's first. And the second, I'm going to break off here just to show you the second colour, which we've used in here, which is the yellow ochre. Now all of these colours work together to produce that tone, which is really attractive. So once again, I do exactly the same thing, just very, very light touch. Lighter when we get to the top. Like that. Okay. Now, the magic. If you blend it with your blender, like that. If you haven't got the blender, as I said, you could use a white, or you could use your finger. But obviously, if you use your finger, you haven't got the control. But look at that. How that now has turned into that colour. And what a difference between this and that. Now that's not the end of it though, folks. What we then do is use the white pencil back again, and like I said, I want that to be a little lighter there, so we have a contrast between the upper arm and the forearm. Now, what I would do here is you can bring the white down, but leave the edge if you can. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be going over the edges anyway. Once we do the background, we'll have to reapply and cut into the edges, so it's not critical. Now you see, I'm taking my time because it's first of all, it's really interesting to do it anyway. It's a fascinating portrait work, as I've said before. But now you can see this graduation. Now we want to retain that if we can. So I'm coming in with the white, creeping up on this area, and adding just a little more white there. But I would retain the depth here. We can always go back in afterwards. And into a little bit more white there. And there we are. And then if you use your colour shaper again, it's the wrong one, here's the one. I'm going to just take some of that off because what I want to do here is to smooth it. And I didn't want to colour. There we are. Now look how lovely that is. And that's going to go everywhere. So what I'll do now is I won't use two pencils, I'll just use the one, and I'll go round and we will develop this as we go along. In fact, I will use the two pencils, because then I can show you how we can gradually, magically make that arm appear, particularly when we get down to the fingers. When we get to the fingers, I'll break off and come back with narration, because I need to explain to you how I'm proceeding with that.
Now I've brought you nice and close now so that you can see how I produce the hand. First of all, go round the outside edges of the fingers with the ready ochre, which is 187, like that. There's two. I'll show you all of this because it is really tricky and really interesting to watch as well as to do. Now you've got the joints of the finger. I'm not making too much of them, but you can see how we have, I'm doing them in kind of 3, 1,
2, 3. It's strangely enough, your intention often brings this off. Here we are, and about one more. 1, 2, 3. Now, what we have to do now is extend these. Now, we can't extend the fingers, but we can extend the colour. You see what I mean? And if that's off-putting, what I would do is just use the yellow ochre as well, and then blend it. So it stops you getting confused, but you can see why we do that. And that can be blended in. Now, it doesn't look like an extension of the fingers, does it? We've also got to put in just a little more of this, but I want it to be, we don't want to put too much colour here. So we just tickle it, would probably be the word I would use. That's not quite right, that one. Got a bit of a dip in it. We can make adjustments anyway afterwards, but I thought I'd put it right to start with. There we are. They're looking really good. And now the yellow ochre. I'll speed this up now because you now get the idea of it. I bet you're thinking, how is he going to get that colour shaper in there? That flat colour shaper. Well, there are, in fact, several different kinds of colour shapers which I have, but I'm not going to confuse you by showing them to you. But I have a pointed one which would have done the job, but so will this one. But you can see the problem. But what you do, if you turn it on its side like that, you can actually get in there surprisingly easily. Before I had the pointed ones, this is what I used to do. You see? So what happens if you go over the top of this? Not too serious, you can erase it with a normal pencil rubber. Now this is putting the colour in. You've already seen how I bring that back with the white pencil, so you should have confidence to know that that's going to happen. There you go. Now they look as though she's been smoking, doesn't it? Nicotine all over them. But that's all going to change with our white. The white is critical because that is the one that gives us, first of all, the slightly lighter tone which we certainly need for this, but also we can use it to create this kind of effect. You don't go overboard with this, otherwise they look like sausages. But what we need to do is here, we need to emphasise the white. Leave the white on the nail. I think that looks quite attractive. Now that looks good, doesn't it? So let's go in with the second finger. Hands are notoriously difficult to do anyway, folks, so don't put your expectations too high. But I've made this as easy as I can. You should be able to understand it. Once again, you see, what I'm doing is I'm treating each digit and section of it independently. First one, second one, and then the tip. And finally, the last little finger. You see why I was doing that earlier on? I was bringing that back. So let's extend the white as well. And to about there. I don't think we need to go any further. Just on the there, you've got the palm of the hand beginning, so it's a nice idea, just indicate that. Another thing that I've done is, you saw me, little crease there, which I think is quite endearing. You can emphasise that by just putting a little bit of the 187 in there. There you go. Okay, now, we're nearly there now. I think that looks pretty good, but it's not finished, folks, because what I'm going to attempt to do now is something that is not very easy, but I think it's going to work. This is the very dark brown. Now, you've got to be careful with this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very, very light touch with it. And just put just a spot of dark around it, especially around the nail, like that. Now don't worry that that looks a little heavy. Don't come too far up here, otherwise it'll look silly. Very, very light. It's almost not touching the paper. It's just very fine. If you didn't want to do this, don't do it, because it still looks okay. But I just think it's just quite nice just to have a little bit more definition. And it is, after all, a drawing, not a real, meant to be too realistic. I think it looks quite nice. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just gently go up here as well. In fact, all the way around, I think. Now, I won't bore you by going all the way around, but what we can do then is, right on the very edge of that, you can bring back the 187 and fluff right up to the edge. Now, I'm not going over that line, I'm going up to it. Are you with me? But like I said, if you feel uneasy about that, don't do it. But I personally think it looks good, and it does make the fingers look more rounded. And here is where you'll see the difference. There we are. And if you really wanted to be fussy, you can then just touch it with the colour shaper. It's not really necessary to do this, because we're going to be putting the dress on in a little while. Well, not in this demonstration, but in the next demonstration. And that will actually make that look just that little bit better. But as you can see, it looks great. Like that. Now I'm going to do that all the way around. But I think that looks quite stunning. Just a couple of small things, though. We've got knuckles. I'm just going to put just an indication of knuckles there. You don't draw them too strong. Just a little smidging touch. And this is 187 I'm using. Like that. And then with your white, just a little bit of emphasis where the knuckles are. There you go. Now, I don't know what you think about the nails. What I'll do is, I think I'm going to use this colour, which is, shall I use the pink? Maybe I'll use the pink. Just a little bit of spot of tone on the nails. Leave them primarily white, but just put just a little bit of colour in them. I think they look quite nice. And you might ask me, where's the thumb? thumb's on the other side, you can't see that. And then use your colour shaper just to blend them. I think probably look better than just having white on them. There you go. Lovely. Well, there we are. There's the demonstration. Let me give you a full view of what we've done. Well, there's the arms, the leg and the hand finished. And the next demonstration I'll be doing on this will be on the dress. So look out for that. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.